All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the EU qualifiers. We're here in the playoffs, our lower bracket finals. It is Wind and Rain versus BlinkPool, game number 2 about to get underway. We're in the lobby still, but we have all 10 players in, so we're about to get this thing started. We're here at the BTS house, of course, myself, Mott, Purge, Draskell, and remote is Toby from abroad. I'm going to keep calling you that.
I would like to point out that the admin run chat, there's no more pause unless it's a tech issue or they'll have to give a penalty, so there shouldn't be a pause after draft. Drama settled.
It sounds severe
it's over.
As well.
Stop
Level
the Reddit
3
threads.
penalty.
I don't know what that means. I think it just means that if there is a game 3, they don't get as much time to do a draft, I believe. Should be something like 90 seconds less or
it's
something.
90 seconds, I think, is the normal one.
Yeah, so drama ended. It's over.
We did it.
All right.
We got through it, guys.
Okay.
So, game 2. I mean, game 1 was PL for Madara again.
Yes.
He's quite the PL player, I would say.
Yeah.
I think that his PL games usually play themselves, to be fair.
They
had pretty much a triple lane win, and the Morphling is really far behind from the get-go because he was against the Bat Naga lane. He dies in lane. The support combination, Kezu's not really a support, but the Bat Skywrath combination just can destroy him at any stage in the game if he doesn't have BKB. And I feel like he was constantly under pressure, whereas the PL experienced no pressure even as far as the laning phase. So I think it was draft lanes. Cinderin and I pretty much covered most of it. So.
Yep.
10 seconds. Radiant.
I wonder if
Okay.
they should go back into the world.
That you guys can't see this yet, but let's
Show me some heroes.
Let's just say Wind and Rain have taken the issue out of the equation.
Yeah,
PL
PL just feels like the carry in the patch right now, in that it lanes well, it can lane different places, it doesn't have a lot of counters that are easy to pick, and it just scales well into slow, easy, straightforward control. So it forces your opponents to worry about building around it. They have to do weird stuff. It just causes a lot of issues. It's hard to gank. It's hard to gank in the lane starting level 2. It's just so many problems.
It's a really good ban. I'm actually happy to see a team just take the incentive and just be like, we're not dealing with this crap again.
Yeah, they did have first pick. So maybe they could have picked it, but yeah, if they don't want to go for the first pick PL, then
it's too much.
Totally fine.
Well, BlinkPool have been playing it throughout the entire qualifier, and maybe they just feel slightly less comfortable on it. I know that Ritsu would probably rather be playing Morphling, and maybe look to see Wind and Rain take it again this game if the opportunity arises, because I've definitely seen them perform extremely well with it.
10 seconds remaining.
They did have a Chen, which obviously BlinkPool have taken out right now, but
there's also an IO still in the pool.
Remaining.
First pick going to Wind and Rain, that could be huge for them.
And also Wyvern for Wind and Rain is still available if they wanted to grab it.
I think BlinkPool definitely ban IO.
Radiant team ban.
Okay.
Because they could, if they ban IO, they actually ban it themselves.
Yeah, they don't want to.
Yeah.
All right.
Second time this happened? This happened yesterday? I can't remember. There was a team I remember that did.
They could want their
ban
Wyvern
it
opening
first.
then.
That's what I was thinking.
If they're not going to be picking IO.
I would assume BlinkPool banned here just because, I mean, I know OG played against the Wyvern and did well with it yesterday, but maybe BlinkPool aren't as confident playing it against Wind and Rain's Wyvern here. So.
And if they definitely can't go Wyvern and IO as well. That sounds like a crappy kind of support duo.
Yeah,
and they can't play Wyvern versus IO. That doesn't sound fun either. So
yeah.
It's just probably easier just to remove it if it doesn't combo with whatever else.
I would think, yeah, there it is. Okay, taken out.
Okay. So what got through? Tanky support kind of stuff? Maybe
there's
like a Night Stalker?
There's Bloodseeker as well, NS.
Lycan was a common first ban, not so much anymore.
Lycan's kind of not a thing right now in EU at least.
Yeah, we saw him 1 or 2 games, maybe, at most, I would say. So he's not even a factor anymore. It's more so about the Ember Spirit now for OG and all of Thompson's heroes, but obviously that's a different story. It's a different match.
I'd say Lycan's more of a situational carry. He can work sometimes, but he shouldn't be necessarily first picked like CIS did.
Yes.
At least in CIS it worked a lot of times, but it doesn't seem to be a thing here.
Radiant team pick.
Oh, I forgot about this. This was banned last game, I believe.
Okay.
It was banned first phase, yeah.
And he seems to be the hot support now. In that last best of 3 that OG and Wind and Rain played yesterday, he was picked every game. Every game he was picked and he won. So I think he's in a very good spot currently. The Voodoo Restoration, level 1.
Yep, and all the other good stuff Witch Doctor does.
Yes, absolutely.
Less incentive now if you Beastmasters and your Lycans. Cask is still a pretty big a nuisance in lane and during the mid game. Kezu's hero pool is interesting though because last game we talked at length about the bat and how good it was. It's just one of those heroes that it's a comfort thing. You have to know how to play the hero, and not a lot of teams in the EU qualifier are running bat except for BlinkPool. I think it really gives him an edge because he really does play a lot of offlaners. So his Darkseers, Brewmasters, Batrider, stuff like that.
Yeah, I thought Batrider really fit his playstyle a lot too. I guess I'm not the biggest fan when he plays farm heavy heroes as much, but
They go for the combo first 2 pick. I don't remember the last time I've seen a Shadow Fiend picked first 2. I know with the Clockwork, there's obviously incentive to do it because you get advanced second phase, but still.
I think we've seen a lot of Clockwork SF second phase as the 2 picks, but I don't think we've seen it first phase. But I like it against Witch Doctor, I guess.
I like it because of the
10
patch.
seconds
I like it
remaining.
because you do have more isolated 1v1s in this patch than you do in the
5
previous
seconds
iterations, just
remaining.
because of the value of like side lane bounty runes and stuff, and there's not really so much 4 rotations anymore. So you get that really free, like, I'm going to get my 12 souls, I'm going to walk to that lane, and I'm going to win.
And
Which
matchup-wise,
is-
it's great. Like Clockwork, if he keeps a Witch Doctor solo, it's kill potential. Witch Doctor has weak armor. Cast against Clockwork is bad. Shadow Fiend versus Witch Doctor feels good too. He'll buy BKB eventually. He's going to like 3-shot Witch Doctor. Feels as a whole solid.
Yeah, we see the morph. This is just, it's a Ritsu hero. He loves it. I think it's good against SF. It's good against Clockwork. Neither of these heroes really have an answer for the Morphling, and PL is already banned.
10
So now there is
seconds
actually something that Wind and Rain are putting on the table that requires some kind of a counter.
Yep. But I'm sure BlinkPool knew the Morphling was coming. That was very
Yeah,
clear.
if we know, they know. Like,
And it's still a little scary. I could see them maybe going Skywrath again, personally. Something like silencing Morphling with a double raise and some other nukes. Like, Morphling has to be slightly worried about that.
yeah, I could still see Beast being okay for BlinkPool as well, even though they do have a Witch Doctor. I think it's a lockdown. It's someone who
10
buys a
seconds
Necro Book. Mana
remaining.
Burn's really good against Morphling.
Well, let me ask, what stops BlinkPool from going Batrider
5
again in a
seconds
situation like
remaining.
Bad Sky or something? Or
They can.
That,
They can definitely go Batrider again. There's
Naga's still available,
absolutely
too.
nothing stopping them.
So
That's true.
all these heroes that BlinkPool played in the last game are still up and ready. I would assume one of those heroes gets banned here with Wind and Rain with their next ban, but
I think I like Bat a bit more than Naga, personally, even though they're played by different people. I don't like... For me, I think that you really want to make this Clockwork a 4. I don't think you want to put him on anything higher priority than that, just because his matchup against the Morph is just trash. He's just a lane hero that's good against Witch Doctor, and he's some catch. So in that
10
case,
seconds
I
remaining.
actually think Bat is still... To me, that's probably one of the better
5
picks right now,
seconds
if they were to want to go in that direction.
Feels a little early to me for a bat, myself. Maybe like 4th pick.
They 4th picked
but-
it last game, right?
yes.
I guess it feels weird to me to talk about him already because it's like he goes from like feeling irrelevant to my mind. And last game he looked great, and now it feels like he was great, but I feel like there maybe aren't enough signs for it being justified yet.
Well,
I
it's
guess.
relevant to the player. That's the reason why it
I see.
warrants talking about. Because when you have someone who, like Thompson, for example, we would never talk about Invoker, Pugnant, and Zeus for any other mid player in any region except for him. But because he's so proficient at those heroes, that it's definitely something that always needs to be in the conversation. And I'm sure that, Wind and Rain are definitely feeling the same way. So there is a Zeus ban.
It's another hero Morphling can have trouble with sometimes if he
Yeah.
gets like initiated on with Fallout Burst. Still no Naga ban. It's the one I'm most curious about. BlinkPool does get the first pick out of the ban phase, so maybe they'll snag it. But
I'm wondering how they should deal with the Morphling. Like we talked about like the mana burning kind of things.
10
Clockwork's the
seconds
only one.
remaining.
yeah,
Is this the time when Kezu pulls out his Nyx Assassin? He's played it a couple of times in the
5 seconds
qualifiers,
remaining.
or
again,
does it work in the lane?
but the mana burn is definitely very good against Morphling, but I don't think it's like the #1 counter. I think #1 is like silences, hard disable kind of stuff that you can disable him before he starts morphing. Because then if you just gank pressure him a little bit, it feels good.
I would like Sky much more than a Nyx. I mean, again, different roles, but I think Skywrath has shown to be just way too good in the early game. Secures you a lane just by himself. Even in a matchup like last game where they had the PL on the Sky, the PL should lose that lane like 9 times out of 10, but just because the Sky's there.
Isn't Sky offset by Witch Doctor in the lane stage?
Yeah,
So
the
that's
Buddha
that's the one
Restoration.
big negative that I'm thinking of.
Well, it depends on if they actually want to lane him
Radiant
directly
team
against the
pick.
Witch Doctor or not. Like maybe they pick something a bit greedier and just put this guy down there to protect their own core, as opposed to directly laning against the Morphling.
Dire team
So they ban
pick.
out Underlord, so I'm thinking something.
Ranger at your
Their core will be
service.
something that.
So that's definitely a hero that wants to lane against the Morphling. Like, no question. You do not
Yeah.
want to dodge with that hero because you can trade with the Witch Doctor, even though he has sustain. It's very difficult for that hero combination to kill you.
Radiant team pick.
Whoa.
Okay. I kind of like Tusk because of the Shadow Fiend. It's a very gank, vulnerable hero. I think that's why they banned Night Stalker, for example, second phase, because he's worried about like nighttime ganks. But Tusk laning stage is tough. And he's also good against Wind Ranger, another hero that's very easy to run away with. And they go for a Drow strat.
Oh God.
Toby, are you okay with
Toby's
this?
all right, I think.
Toby,
This is
really
if you need,
sick.
just mute your mic. It's get this over
No,
with.
it's,
and
it's
we'll-
not that, Kevin. Stop making it cringe, bro. Just that's my job.
Okay. You're very good at it.
No, I'm just thinking like how much damage this SF is going to be dishing out. Like, who cares about burning through the
10
mana
seconds
of a
remaining.
Morphling? Just take his raw HP.
Yeah, just like two-shot him.
It-
He's
I
going to have a
mean,
lot of armor, but
To start the game, Cogs plus Precision Aura, which isn't that much early game, but will help a
No,
lot.
it's three damage at the start
Yeah.
because it got nerfed
it's like
again.
one more cog.
Yeah.
It's not
but
great,
the,
I mean,
the
it's
second
something.
you hit 6, on the draw range, you get plus 27. So at that point,
Yes.
SF's got like max souls and plus 27. This is pressure central when you have the draw.
It's great for Wind Ranger as well, because she is mostly right-click and harass in the laning stage. So I think the draw pick here is pretty solid. It's a little scary against Tusk Morphling because they can dive, but
Yeah.
I
So-
do
But
like it.
it's okay once you got the gust. Like, everything can be pushed back, but they need a strength tanky kind of hero that can become that buffer, the front line for BlinkPool in their last pick.
Clock's
I think
pretty good at
Clock's enough
that,
of that.
but yeah, I would love to see maybe another hero.
They've done. I've seen like Drow like with Brewmasters before, where he's like that frontline initiator, and he uses his ultimate and just runs around, and the Drow just hits buildings and stuff like that.
Sounds pretty good to me. It looks like they're probably going to do a Nature's Prophet Tusk dual offlane is my guess.
Mhm.
Just run
It's
things
really
at
good
Drow.
at pressuring the Drow. Yeah, that's one thing about Drow is she is just so weak in lane. Like there needs
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
someone to stand
10
in between her and
seconds
the enemy heroes.
Which-
Most
which
likely going to be
is-
the clock.
The toughest thing with Clock, though, because he
5
doesn't deal
seconds
with the
remaining.
treants very well either. I feel like it has to be Wind Ranger, so now they can't even use this hero that should be going aggressive.
Nah, you can't put Wind Ranger against Furion. You can't make use of Wind Run against that hero because even if you get like what 2.5 seconds at level 1, and then the
3,
trees are
but-
still following you around, and then you still can't trade, so you get like 2 or 3 auto attacks off, and you're still playing on the back foot.
Yeah, but doesn't Clockwork just get right-clicked also? by the
Yeah, but
trees?
that's what I'm saying is like there is no real good solution right now. But the best one they have, I feel, is still Clock because he can at least buy a Stout Shield. I think you need a Stout Shield hero if you really want to like aggressively try to win that lane.
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest weakness. This Prophet pick looks really good.
Wind and Rain have found a really good solution here. I believe that BlinkPool still have the capability of pressuring and winning the early mid game really hard if everything goes correctly. But I think this is a lineup that requires a high level of execution based on the first 4 heroes. And if they mess it up for a little while, they can be in a world of trouble. Because I can very easily see this Morphling getting to the same point that Madara's PL was in game 1, where nothing can really deal with him.
So they ban on Lina, a hero that's pretty good against Shadow Fiend mid, especially with the Tusk. That doesn't sound fun, Tusk Lina to lane against. But
I actually wouldn't mind Tide. You could put the Tide against the Nature's Prophet lane.
okay,
10
I like
And
that a
then
lot.
you have something that can buy teamfight items. You can go for the Greaves or whatever if you want to go for the
5
Blink.
seconds
You don't really need a
remaining.
pipe this game if you're BlinkPool. So I think that you can go just like one teamfight oriented utility item directly into Blink. But it is a definite answer for the Nature's Prophet. Gives you some teamfight, a hero that
Yeah.
can stand in front.
I like that idea quite a bit, actually. Good against Witch Doctor, too. Just makes it really hard for Wind and Rain to fight unless they time the
It's
the
actually
snowball.
great
Perfect.
against Morph too because the new Anchor Smash talent, all Morphlings damage pretty much being stat based, means that whenever you hit him with an Anchor Smash, he hits for nothing. So it's an answer. Not sure if that's the route they're going to go,
Dire
but
team pick.
it's definitely a thing. All right, they're more worried about the catch, and that is a Kezu hero.
That would have been a really weak lineup if they picked up the puck, though.
Well, the puck is good for the lineup because it helps them push the tempo. It's a low cooldown ultimate that you don't necessarily need a blink on puck. I think a lot of people have that misconception. Your range is still really far, even without the use of the dagger. The dagger is more so that you can get in and out as opposed to just in. But if
10
their only
seconds
purpose for that
remaining.
hero is initiation, then puck definitely fits the bill. It has Drought Aura.
5
If you put a
seconds
double
remaining.
range lane like Wind Ranger and Puck top lane versus a Witch Doctor and a Morph, I believe that BlinkPool's off lane would win handily against those two
Yeah,
heroes.
I would agree.
So-
it could also lane okay against Prophet if they do like
Yeah.
Dream Coil and Clock Initiation. BlinkPool does not have to worry about being dove for a little bit of time.
Templar
Really hard counter pick against SF in lane. This lane, I would say, if he didn't have Souls starting out and Drought Aura, there would be absolutely no way he can win this lane. But with Souls, there is a chance.
And it makes raises a lot more worthless because then he'll just be eating it with his refraction. So
Well, it's a double-edged sword because you shove the wave into the TA. Obviously, you're not going to hurt her,
10
but you're going to force her to
seconds
CS under her tower, which means she's not pressuring the lane either.
true.
So because SF can push the wave
5
faster,
seconds remaining.
normally in the mid matchup when you have a hero that kills the creeps, and then the enemy team has to like compensate for it. They can't kill it faster than you. You get time to jungle, and the enemy mid laner doesn't. So it is a weird matchup, but most of the time TA is favored.
It also feels nice that when Shadow Fiend does eventually just hit jungles, that TA is not as good at rotating over to look for kills there, because it's kind of a bit of a walk. You have to get in more or less melee range.
Yeah,
so.
it's very based on her trap setup, depending on where she has him. But I could very easily see the mid player dying as well.
Okay.
Oh.
So that'll be their
Who is
off
it?
lane,
Who is it?
maybe.
Kezu's
Yeah.
playing Wind Ranger.
Yeah, Kess's
They
got
might
Wind
swap,
Ranger.
though.
Okay,
We'll see if they swap.
so Misery, Clock, and a 5 Jakiro, so that'll be Toxic Jakiro, I guess.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's damage over time. It's a way to deal with TA, refraction. If they don't have that, it would be really hard to just cut through refraction in a normal way. There's a hero that can deal with the Prophet Treants much better as well. So it'll probably be like Wind Ranger Jakiro, I'm guessing. Clock Cover and Jaw Ranger, perhaps.
That's what I think too. I assume that Kezu and Soxa are going to be top against the Morph. I think that's a very, very strong lane.
Do you want to
with
lane
Drow Aura.
Drow, Clock versus Morph Witch Doctor? I guess that sounds pretty good to me. It's not great for Drow. I feel you put Jakiro wherever Prophet is, no matter what, and then maybe Drow safe lane. That's like one of their weaknesses.
Yeah, but Wind
so.
and Rain are going to want the Furion against the Drow for sure. That's their
True.
goal, I think. So, based on lineups, it's going to be very based on the lanes. If BlinkPool get the lanes they want, I think they could very easily run this game over in 25 minutes. But if their execution is lacking in any way, there's a very good chance that they could lose.
SF has to be careful about the Tusk Room. Drow has to be careful about lane pressure. There's a lot of scary things for them.
Yeah.
All right.
Prepare for battle.
So we will get into it. There is a Drow strat coming out for BlinkPool. They are currently up 1-0, and we will send it over to Toby and Purge for the cast.
Yeah, I'd love to watch a Drow straight in action. I always feel like it's a little bit polarizing. It's like,
It is.
hey, this could be absolutely amazing, or this could be absolutely terrible.
Yeah, and luckily, lately Drow strats are more rare, so they don't feel as forced, so we don't have to see those bad games as often, I feel like. It's one benefit that we have going for us.
They are the worst. It's like, oh, it's a Drow game, but it really shouldn't be a Drow game. I picked a Drow into a Slark. This should not be happening.
Yes.
But I like War's approach at least. Like they 4-man smoke up. They know that BlinkPool's going to be inside their base with the SF as well as the Clockwork just doing the cog denies. And they've already managed to get him 12 souls.
Yes, he's got
So I'm
24
wondering if-
bonus damage,
30
so that's
seconds
pretty
to
good.
battle.
Offsets what
I'm just
refraction
wondering
does.
how many bounty runes they can get.
Usually you
So-
sacrifice at least one doing this because you spend so much time in your base and not on the map, so it looks like they will lose the top ones, but same vein, Sox is not spotting anybody, and nobody on Wind and Rain is in the bot lane, so they might just go 2 and 2, which is pretty solid
Sure.
for them.
Drow's going to get there in time, and, well, at least, as Andy was saying, like, you wanted War to have that lane, right? Nature's Prophet versus the Drow Ranger, they are going to get that. And Misery knows he cannot contest the other rune, so Sucks to contest the top, and it will actually be a straight-up trade, a 2-2. And it appears no one's part of a real roster. It's nothing but stand-ins getting the pickups.
True. You know, these team swaps and last-minute TI chance kind of a thing. This stuff happens sometimes.
No, everyone's really stable. Everyone loves playing together and doesn't have any kind of emotional outbreak.
True.
Yeah. All right. So mid-matchup, how is this meant to work with the SF and the TA? Like, you start with 12. Like, you actually went Sideblaze to begin with the TA, and they even fortify at the very beginning?
Yeah, this is done a lot more right now just because it helps offset any mid-matchup, basically. You want to do things like, oh, I want their range creep to die first, for example, so my lane doesn't push. Or it might be like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get that deny. Let's glyph it so that there's like 5 more seconds so I can have an opportunity to do so. There are lots of interesting ways you can use glyph in the mid lane. So just who can get the more last hits. That's what it's all about here. It's pretty raw level 1, and it'll get harder as the game continues.
Suppose the other lanes, like, we can come back to the mid, like, but how do you like the matchups for top and bottom? Do you feel like either team has an advantage with what we've got?
Well, it's the Wind Ranger Clockwork versus Morphling and Witch Doctor, and then Misery a little bit
Yeah,
low,
you take-
but it'll be fine.
He's taking a lot of damage, but hey, Ritsu's not level 2 yet, right? So,
I think
anything goes.
my thought during the draft was that this was the lanes that BlinkPool was going to want, because you definitely want Jakiro against the Treants to deal with them a little bit better, and then you still have Wind Ranger against the Morphling this way. If Drow goes up against Morphling, Morphling has more base damage for a decent amount of the time, so and a better animation as well. So I felt like this is the one that's going to go slightly better for BlinkPool. But still not great for Morphling. In fact, he's going to
Misery,
probably die.
real trouble. Getting very aggressive. Trying to zone him out with his cogs. Didn't get the earlier burn onto Ritsu, and maybe help seal his death, but that's a lot better start for Ritsu compared to game 1.
Yeah, I didn't really see how the cogs worked out. Look, maybe drain Witch Doctor or something, but Morphling as a waveform, that's a scary thing, and Clock just doesn't have that much
Bottom
armor.
lane, a lot of dual breath damage. He's going to hide inside the cogs as long as he possibly can. Madara attacking both Perev and Millen down. They've both got Salve and Tangos to regenerate with, so it's not as scary.
Yep.
Top lane, however, looks a little bit drier for War. Kitrack's out of everything, and Ritsu's just got Tangos.
Still going to be looking for these opportunities to power cogs for mana drain, but Misery's probably learned his lesson a bit. Going to play it a little bit more safe. Man, Jakiro's so good against Nature's Prophet, actually, because just between like Dual Breath and Liquid Fire, he's reducing the attack speed by like 60% on those trees. So any trading they do is just almost always going to be advantageous. So I think they're going to be relatively happy.
It's a lot better for Madara, too, the fact that he's not being forced into a tri-lane. If Jakiro is actually having this influence, he can get his level 6 a lot earlier, and then we're going to see BlinkPool come online. Because then Kezu's going to have the time of his life as that Wind Ranger. Like, we already see like how much damage Wind Rangers do these days with just Power Shot, but you give a physical damage increase, too.
Yeah. The Focus Fire won't be amazing, but just the simple right-clicks will be, and that's more than enough in a lot of cases to be a big worry. There's a side pull that's done here by Winter Rain. In fact, Nature's Prophet TPing back to base to pick up his phase boots. He'll head back to lane in a moment here. It'll be even harder for Drow to get last hits.
He's actually jumping in behind Madara.
Well, he doesn't have a Tango, actually. There's no Sprout, I guess, but...
It's good harassment. Blocked in by the shards, but Farev doesn't keep the pressure on. Even with the trees, they can become your shields to dive.
This was it was a good move. Keeps Madara away from being able to contest the last hits from the pull, basically. Either way, they pick up level 3, so now they got a level 2 dual breath. Even better for trading. But yeah, that's the lane that has to be really careful. Like some kind of snowball shards could go on the Drow, and that's a big threat.
Yep. Well, there goes your dual breath out already. Millen starts the shards up, catches out the Drow Ranger. She's not maneuverable, got one Tango to cut through the tree line. And kill a couple of treants, get some good experience in.
Yeah, they're being pretty fully zoned here. I mean, the fast Aqualon Drow is great and all for the armor, but if you're up against a fast phase boost Prophet who can just keep spamming out trees like this with a TP back to base, how do you beat this lane? Feels very difficult.
You hit level 6.
This
is the way to do it. Of course, you need to stay alive for that. Madara just gets initiated on, knows he can't outrun anything, and they actually get the Sprout and the shards. Not the greatest chaining, but Saxa knows he can just TP away to safety.
Yep.
It's all the way home, too.
Yeah, that fast boots on Prophet, and then the TP home to refill his mana pool to get like 3 more Nature's Calls. That is just like game-breaking, essentially. It's the one skill point essentially becomes a free trip back to base with the cost of a single TP. So very hard to play against that for Drow. She gets out harassed. Now she has no regen.
Yep. TP back down to the bottom lane even without it. And without the Chikiro. But at least it's a full wave of experience that she's able to pick up underneath her own tier 1 tower. Of course, with no consumables, you can see Forever just saying the trees at her. 5-minute bounty runes. Looks like it's not a full even trade. In fact, the last one to make it 50-50.
It's going to be close. Yeah, Sox is scared about this one. He knows. He does not want to get caught by Tusk in the middle of nowhere because he knows that Frev can also teleport. So essentially him ever being out of position is 2 heroes, not just 1. And it's very good for him, actually, that he didn't go for that. That could be another kill. And the faster that Milan... he's already got boots, actually. But he's got to be very careful in this dual lane. If this gets out of control, it's going to affect Drow Ranger as well. And Drow Ranger hitting 6 on a good pace is super, super important.
Interesting place for BlinkPool to scan. They scanned to the southeast of their tier 1 tower mid. Like they were expecting Millen to come over, but he walked underneath the observer ward for half a second.
Yeah, and he is actually there now. They were just a bit worried about him approaching. But SF doing fine. Yeah,
31-26 versus the 23-6 of the TA. Maybe a little bit scary. Diakuri has to fortify as it flew right underneath, or right above Kezu.
That was pretty scary, actually, with Drow Aura, especially. Drow picking up a level 4 now. Frev's still in the lane halfway to 6, and Madara's sort of pseudo-soloing this, I guess, but Sox is going to go for a pull-through. This is the best they can do level-wise. He actually might miss it. Yeah, he does actually miss his connect here, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, still okay with it. Like they're going to dive you if you didn't have a creep wave underneath the tower, so Madara's going to need the numbers. The shards this time will not be able to connect properly from Milan, and okay, snowball forward. Really wants to go after Madara. Gust away, create some space for Rev. Not looking too healthy. Even Clockwork firing the rockets down to give the vision.
Ooh, almost gets
trapped. Rev begins his TP away. They are so low with the Treants attacking and the illusions of the Tusker. Madara is having a hard time living, and now the TP's coming back in again. Forev is already regenerated, so Saksa trapped inside the trees. It's a parade of leaves for his own demise. And now Wrath of Nature. Is that going to bounce up to top? Nope, that's just for giggles.
Yeah, he's going to kill the creep wave a little bit faster as a result, and Frev's just playing this lane really well with Milan here, but it's such a tough lane for Drow to play against a Tusk. Misery's going to find the Tusk at least. Only level 1 battery assault, though, on this level 3, and he ends up juking him while going high ground. He deserves that tip. That was sick outplay, actually.
Don't get a kill, have something else.
Some pressure on Kezu here, but 3 points of win run's going to easily keep him alive.
Actually trapping him in the cogs. Maybe they have enough damage. Madara is still not level 6. If he was 6, this would be so easy for him. But it does not happen. And now Misery has to retreat. Forev turns around for a hunt. And Millen's also there too. Long-range shards won't be able to connect. But then again, maybe when Madara and Misery group up so closely, Madara just far enough to the right, able to dodge the shards.
Good movement there. I mean, this is very tough for the Draw Ranger, but Shadow Fiend is having a pretty good game. He's like 15 CS up
again.
on the TA.
Supports come in from Kitrak. They're going after Misery. The paralyzing cast forward. There are 3 heroes in bottom lane, but Misery, the snowball's coming in. Madara needs to push him away almost instantly out of the cogs of Misery. So actually, with the perfect save, Kitrak starts as he's got the dual breath, so they'll find that kill over the shards. Missing Misery once again. He has Rocket in 2 seconds time, but it won't be required. The dual breath does the work. And a huge gust from Draw Ranger, saving the support and getting the kill.
That was such a cool way to combo that. I had no idea that was about to happen. The cogs, the cogs was never gonna kill his opponents. I thought at all he was like, okay, he's gonna trap them. But the gust together with it, pushing them to the outside, that was so cool. Level 6 picked up on
just cracked 6. They just got the extra damage.
Now
so
it's
Misery,
time to fight.
if he can get any kind of extra control onto these 2 offlaners, then yeah, you're in trouble.
And now they're going to wreck creeps here. They're going to be able to kill these treants very rapidly. Drow's still trying to regen up a bit, and it's just going to get even better for Shadow Fiend now. He's hitting for 190 damage right now. That's what TA hits with Refraction. Not even.
It's a good thing she's got that defensive refraction charges, right? The nature bounces around the map.
Shadow Fiend
It's
gets
more
pretty
harassment than anything else. Even Wind Ranger's got the plus 49. She got 25 from the aura. Everyone's got 25 from the aura.
That's what's so cool about Wind Ranger being the offlane hero now, is that he can just sit in this lane and he can constantly hit Ritsu for damage. With that same vein, though, Ritsu's skill build also cool. Gets lots of adaptive strikes so that he can just spam a nuke and actually do something to trade with his opponent. So both players making cool decisions, but ultimately this should favor BlinkPool.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And I want to watch this execution now from War. How do they handle this increase in damage? And what do they look for? SF still having a good time against the TA.
It's got to be careful,
Trying
though.
to force her out, but that's the reason why Tuskar's rotated in. So SF moves into the trees. Hello, Millen. 1 hit, and he loses 2 hits, and he loses almost 50%. And the Cogs burn pushes it back. Whoops, that raise is a little bit the wrong range. Now they're going to be point-blank range for a close raise.
I don't know if he tried to push him back or keep him in the cogs. Either way, easy kill. And normally when a TA would or a SF would spot a Tusk like that, he would ditch instantly. But he knows he's got the damage. And they go equal on bounties again, 2 and 2, or not again, but this time, 2 and 2 bounties here.
Yeah.
And the closer Drow gets to a couple survivability items is gonna change this game in a big way.
I'm wondering if this is one of those games too where you say, hey, go a full Hurricane Pike. Like she's going the 4-staff at the very beginning.
I could definitely see that. I'm not the biggest fan of the item. Sometimes I'll focus our top on the Morphling here. A little bit.
I remember
early.
we've had that debate about the full Hurricane Pike. I think it was like with you and Blitz, and I think both of you said Hurricane Pike straight out doesn't make any sense.
Oh, I wouldn't. No, I doubt I said anything like that. It makes sense. It's just expensive for the damage it gives. They will get a kill mid on Misery, it looks like.
Yeah, tries to delay and actually buy time for Kaiser. He gets back to the shrine, but that's got 28 seconds on cooldown.
He will be able to kill this camp in the meantime, but yeah, I don't know if they can defend the tower. Soxa might suicide for it. Dual Breath's going to buy him a lot of time, actually. And a Macro
He
Pyre.
levels Macro Pyre. Millen wants to fight him in the shards, then sure. Well, actually walking over it with the Treants. They can't, actually, they can get around that Sprout, wait for a cast to bounce back down again. Kill's already happened. But they really want this tier 1 tower. There's no fortification for the Radiant side. Now Madara, all by himself. He wants to gust to buy some space, but the control lock is just too good.
That was,
and even Misery was thinking about denying the tower, but thought better of it.
It's a pretty big oversight. He just didn't anticipate there being a trap there. That's a 250 magic damage, is 60% slow for 5 seconds. There was no way he doesn't get killed there. But he thought he would have the safety of being able to outrun a snowball and not get sharded in, but the trap just guaranteed that combo from working. So just a little bit of an oversight for him there. Not knowing there'd be a trap behind the tower. Unless that was a recent one. I can't remember, but I believe this is one of those tech issues that they need a pause for.
Hey, this one is visible. It's a Discord problem.
Is it though, Toby? Maybe they're just doing this to tilt their opponents, knowing that the drama is the pauses. They're waiting for a moment where they just won, and they're like, "Let's pause and say we have an excuse." Is that a possibility?
If you had Sebastian on the other side, then I'd say that's more likely. I suppose Misery would be very intolerant of it as well. But nah. It's fine. It's fine. I think of the best in people.
I'm gonna not say anything because that it's definitely a possibility, but we'll see. Any admins? There it is. I think this is. If anything, I believe this is a tilt strategy. Is what this is. I think there's a real possibility this is a tilt strategy, but they have cover.
It's in the rules. You're following the rules, so you cannot. Obviously, we scrutinize them more to have any kind of pause during the game. But it's just because of what happened over the last 2 days. Yeah, it's fine. We can move on. We can talk more about the game.
You don't need fans to win TI, right? That's not important.
Yeah, it's like a team that's meant to show emotion when they win TI. See the difference in the videos between like the SEA teams and VGJ teams when VGJ Storm when they won, and then EG. Yeah, boys. All right.
Yeah. Morphling picks up a fast Morbid Mass this game, actually, which kind of works out well if you full Agimorph, you deal tons of damage and have high armor. So the lifesteal actually offsets most of the harass that you'll take from the neutrals. So it's kind of a cool way for him just to have a way to get farm without having to stay in the lane.
Well, Kaiser now with the Illusion Rune can control the mid lane still, and looks like he's going to rotate top. This is what we're expecting, right? Like, you got a Draw Ranger lineup, even if she's not in the front lines, you still need to push the tier 1 tower, and the SF is the highest net worth on BlinkPool. He is the one who's being enabled here.
I mean, he's so scary to play against. If you get double raise, you take a huge amount of damage. Kind of curiously, he even went the Spell Amp perk instead of
bottom
the
lane,
attack.
Sasuke, you are not getting away from this. It's Maledict on you. He's already burnt the macro pie previously, and he will tick out.
Nothing weird about this though, because that's the best hero. You always want to put your 5 in that position so that they are the least dangerous hero to die.
Like, look now, before you blink, like, they're having to fortify in the tier 2 tower. The 3 range heroes, Focus Fire, Wind Ranger, Madara with his high damage, and you got the SF who's hitting like a truck at 220 a pop.
Oh, I love the Rocket Flare position too. It's going to spot any late TPs in, and they have an Observer to spot the Shrine. They know exactly if their opponents come. They don't fear anything. That was so well done. That worst case, they lose a tier 1, which is going to usually happen at this point, and they lost a Jakiro, who's going to be good at slowing down the push anyways. That push hasn't even gotten to the tier 2 yet because he was able to slow down the creep wave, and just great vision control from Clockwork and the warding there. Really nice to do that.
It's the necessary sacrifice. That's what it's all about. But they've also got so much damage that, like, if Wall lose a team fight, then Roshan will quickly come after it. And with a team like a Draw Ranger that wants to push in harder and protect those souls on the SF in the fight, you want that Aegis on him.
Yeah, and I would say that they didn't win their lane with the drought. They got overly pressured a little bit, but they've pushed this into now tower advantages. Like, they're losing pretty significantly in terms of gold actually, but it does feel like, and I was surprised to see that, it feels like they have more map control on BlinkPool's side. So still scary thing though, because if you take a tower advantage and you still have gold disadvantage, if you don't turn that tower advantage into something like pressure or ganks, then you're going to lose late game anyways.
Oh, ganks coming towards Madara, supports nearby in the form of the SF, and already Miller knows this is not what he wants to have, thanks to having a haste rune, however. Very quickly away.
I love this trap blow up that the TA just did as well. It's going to harass Madara to a point where he actually just has to go hit up a shrine or go back to base.
Actually, is he setting up for Millen? Like, Millen's got Snowball off cooldown in 1 second time and shards. He came back in.
Yeah, if the TA stays basically, or the drought stays and tries to leverage that. Instead, what he's going to do is hit up a shrine. Misery ends up getting a kill on Kitrak, finding him over there.
And a solo kill?
Didn't see how that's set up, but I did see the Witch Doctor was staying in the trees. I assume it looks like maybe the Witch Doctor came to cast the lane or something. It's kind of like a right time to the right place kind of a thing, perhaps.
Ferev's on that split push again. A quick consumption of the macro pyre. Don't know if that was fully required.
I'm gonna say worth. Like, macro pyre is not a big loss as a hero. It's like one of the most disposable ultimates you can have. 60 seconds. It's not that great usually. You usually don't get more than like 2 or 3 seconds tops of it. It's like it's kind of like an ulti that is a level 4 nuke sometimes at best. Yeah. But I think
Shadowfiend's going to want to have that Mana Star pretty soon. An Orchid is already finished on Forever, so Nature's Prophet's going to be disabling that SF in the fights.
That's cool. It's good against TA as well, because then you have Illusions hitting, breaks Refraction. You can delge the Meld Strike or remove the minus armor from Meld. There's a lot of great things. And also Witch Doctor cast, maybe positives and negatives there, but I like it. Lots of attack speed. It'll work out nice. SF will push out mid here, and after pushing out top, they feel comfortable to try to pressure on mid. If they get this tower, then they have tons of map control.
And they're flanking around the back. It's good dire observer ward, so if this smoke does break and they're up on the hill, they're going to get the information. Yeah, there's the smoke break, but quickly into the gust. Make sure he's controlled, even gusting him back into the ice path. Shackle lands over on the Witch Doctor, and it's just one by one. Wara getting caught here in the mid. The dual breath will connect as well. Witch Doctor does not have enough life to survive this. Trade-off is bottom lane. TA is getting some damage into the tier 2 tower, and Ferev's adding pressure towards the top. But this is what I was talking about. You win one good fight, you go for Roshan.
Yeah, it's been farming basically. That's the benefit of what Undenrain's doing. The Morphling has been AFK neutrals the whole time. With his Morbid Mask, he's almost got his BKB finished. TA ends up taking the bot tier 2, but it's going to be trade by BlinkPool getting a Roshan. There's a trap in the Rosh though. Maybe he can snipe it.
And the Wrath of Nature connected. The trap's still
Milan's
there.
going
Here comes
in.
the snowball forward. He goes
gets
in.
it.
Dire,
No.
and he gets the
No
Aegis.
way.
Not just the kill, but the Aegis Immortal. Yes way. 5 heroes stand around going, what the actual fuck? Tuskar has managed to steal it perfectly. Drop sentries at Roshan to see TA traps.
Look at this gold
Oh,
advantage. This feels like BlinkPool's winning this game, but they have a 9k gold advantage right now. They stole Rosh, that's another 1k. That's a 2k swing alone with that steal, and he got the Aegis. That's insane.
Yeah.
And okay, if there's one thing BlinkPool did moderately wrong there, and that's not have a Sentry Ward. If they have the Sentry Ward, that TA trap dies. Milan does not have perfect information. He can't time that perfectly, and that snipe is so much harder to do. But him seeing that, coming in and sniping it, they deserve to talk this shit right now, because it feels like they're losing, but they are actually stomping in terms of net worth right now with their full efficiency.
This is the worst case scenario for a Drow Ranger lineup. You
That's
don't
not
have
true.
the Aegis. You're not pushing the lanes. Okay, it's a bad scenario.
They could
not
have
worst
lost
case.
the lanes way worse. They could feel they could feel like they're losing and also be losing. Right now they feel like they're winning, but they're also losing. Could be worse. But who knows? They can stabilize this still. Gonna find a TA here. Sock's in trouble.
Yep. Good hits. Down goes the Jakiro.
Good timing on the blink away too. I don't know if you refracted
They're going for the
there,
Drow
but-
Ranger. They may want to go a little bit harder. There's a Blink Decker coming off cooldown, and there's another TA trap, so Madara just can't get away. Even Death Ward, Gus cancels it quickly, and they just shard to find the kill. Melon stealing Roshan and taking the life of Drow Ranger. Maybe a little bit of trouble for Kezu. The Orchid goes to work, as Ritsu was battling the Wind Ranger, and now there's 3 heroes down. The team who were meant to have the nice quick pickoffs, take Roshan and then push a lane, now are 3 heroes of their own and are being pushed.
What a painful death there. Poor Drow, man. And that's really where you see the net worth difference. If Drow has a slightly less bad laning stage and he has a 4-staff there, he doesn't die. But all it took was just a couple prepped traps and 1 hero rotating over the Witch Doctor, and it all works out. So BlinkPool is now just trying to stabilize. They were expecting to have an Aegis and being able to use that to actually push in a more dangerous location or take a team fight, but now they just don't feel comfortable. They don't have an item on Drow that's going to keep her alive if she ever gets in trouble. They can't back her up very well with their supports outside of like a hookshot Cogs. So BlinkPool is just feeling the pressure, man. Even the Shadow Fiend, he's actually just hiding on the top lane, hoping to maybe get a solo kill or something. Maybe he's hoping Morphling will show up and he'll get a double raise kill or something, but he's been sitting here a very long time, actually.
Yeah, this is so much waste of time for an SF. He was #1 in the net worth, but if you look at the net worth now, it's just all coming up war. Top 3 belong to them with TA well ahead, and they're going again on bottom. They're going to flip the Jakiro around, finding that kill, and they're looking for more. Hookshot off target. Now is Maledict, and they got the Death Ward. Let it rip. Killing off Misery quickly, and quick as well as Wind Ranger versus Wind Ranger, chasing him down. Ritsu. Can he reach? He's looking for a shackle line. He's not going to find it on Kezu.
Yeah, there's no way he'll catch up there. He doesn't have phase boots, so. Man, all of a sudden BlinkPool in a just really bad position. The Rosh snipe, man, and just the efficiency, like the fact that Ritsu instantly got that Mask of Death and just jungled instead of having to worry about the lane pressure. It's like Wind Ranger controlled the lane and all, but it just didn't matter because he just abused the mechanics of full agility more for the Morbid Mask. So he's still got good farm. TA still got good farm because it's TA. Prophet's always farming, and any lane that was semi-open, the supports take. So in all of this, Wind Ranger just got good gold advantage. And there's been no pressure. There's like no hero on BlinkPool that can set up kills.
Oh god, Madara! Oh, if he got locked inside the shards, it would have been really sad for him. He got locked up by the Prowlers. There was no There was no vision. They just sentry because they were wondering about it, but there's no vision from War there. It was just a completely blind shard that's now burned 100 gold.
I think one of the big issues this game out of BlinkPool's draft is their lack of gank hero, basically. I think the Shadow Fiend, it was fine he went Dragonlance because it does make really good use of Jarl Ore in the early game and gives him HP to match with the high damage, but I think buying the Yasha screwed him over because it made his right click even better, which is fine, but he needed a Shadow Blade there so that he could actually try to set up or pressure any heroes because he's kind of like the only person on the team that can. Drow's so far behind that she has to play defensive and there's a lot of counters. Jakira's not going to set up kills. Wind Ranger isn't really going to do that either because she's offlane and always catching up. And then there's nobody, and that's been part of the problem. Winter Rain has just been AFK farming. BlinkPool can't move around getting kills. If they have a Shadow Blade on SF, maybe they can get some freebies here and there. But none of that has ever happened. And now he just now gets
They have the Shadow Blade now.
But
there's the Shadow Blade now.
There's been so much time lost, though. And his net worth isn't even close to the enemy cores, partially because he sat top a lot. But if he had a Shadow Blade, he would have felt more comfortable doing that, and there would have been a couple kills here or there, and his opponents wouldn't have farmed so aggressively. But they've just gotten to do whatever the hell they wanted this game.
Value sentry ward on bottom. TI's finally realized that the creep wave was killing off her traps. They got through 2 before she finally exploded it.
They don't even feel comfortable pushing out their bot lane past the tier 2. That is incredible. It's a big disadvantage to be up against.
They're just going to try and... Yeah, they're not even going to try anything. Like, TA's walking around, farm whatever they want. It's War who's trying something else. They're going to smoke up and run right into Saksa. They finally come up to the high ground and they close the distance. Kezu quickly wind runs away. Maybe they have the isolated damage to kill off one, but Tuskar Snowball buys more time. Requiem is good. So at least 2 heroes down for War, but it's going to be an almost even trade-off. Misery barely clinging to life, but SF can finally do some work. Okay, maybe the other SF. Ritsu changing into it. You know, scare off the original SF.
Yeah, BlinkPool was not quite ready for that. Soxa did break the smoke, but he must have been looking somewhere else at the same time. The Ice Path, if it lands on 3 heroes, it looks great. Doesn't work out, though. You can't always predict these Jakiras to do the right thing in the right moments, just like the OpenAI, or sorry, the bot TI ruined our dreams, my dreams this morning. I don't know if you caught that, Toby, but I was very let down. Jakira's let me down.
And Enigma won. That was what really mattered.
It's true.
Enigma slaughtered, actually.
So.
Thanks to the fact that Disrupted doesn't know how to use abilities.
That's true. The Drow Ranger did not die in that fight, at least. It was a lot of supports and Kezu going down.
Yeah.
But considering they were sitting 5 in that opportunity, and they still...
They're TPing over. Clockwork doesn't have hookshot for another 5 seconds. All these TPs, it kind of feels a little in vain.
Yeah. If he did have hook, that would have been a great fight, but wasn't quite ready. Still on cooldown. Lost opportunity.
They're so quick to split push. Like, Forev's already up on top lane, pushing in the lane.
Yep.
They're going to have their second BKB, which is coming on Forev. They're going to blink save for Millen. And Templar Assassin, like, she didn't even feel like she needed to go for the BKB herself and just went for a Hurricane Pike. So ways to get out of cogs quickly, maybe.
Yeah. If you have a BKB, you're kind of expecting to take a fight, and they know that they're out farming their opponents. They know that they don't have to take a fight because that's where their opponents excel. So they're just going to focus on split pushing. Hurricane Pike will generally help in the meantime and make sure that he doesn't get caught by these single heroes. And he'll just accelerate faster as a result. He's queuing up a Hex next. That way he can solo kill super easily. And then the team fighting becomes massively in their advantage anyway. So yeah, this is what BlinkPool has to do. They're going to sit their supports between the one guy pushing aggressively, the other 2 deal with the other lanes, and then they got to wait for these gimme moments. But they're not seeing many of them.
I just love watching an SF who has to burn so much mana, doesn't even have mana for a TP without a tread switch. Like, they're burning everything they can to keep these side lanes in on War. And War's going to get stronger. I love the TA Mr. Scythe of Vice.
It'll be really useful.
Increased disable, it's wonderful.
Yep.
But they don't find the heroes they're looking for. Misery can TP out as well. He's the only one left up in the trees.
The Tusk just jumps on the Drow Ranger, drops her to 40% HP, and then he walks away. And she
Sure.
actually just like, okay, I guess I have to walk back to the fountain now. And meanwhile, there's Tusk still sitting in the lane.
And they buy more time for Roshan, a minute and 40 seconds away before he'll spawn, and they're going to claim all the 25 bounty runes. The other huge advantage of having Nature's Prophet.
Yep.
You just TP around the map and grab these things so easily.
Actually, I love where Ritsu's been farming too. He's been farming the enemy Ancients and their jungle camps, which means that there's even less area where BlinkPool can get creeps. And then once he finishes their side of the map, he can go to his side of the map, clean that part up. All safely.
He's so close to having a full Skadi.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's when Drow
Morphlee's got
loses.
so much money.
She has
At least
just below 7k
sorry.
net worth. He's got 14,000 right now. And once he gets
Invis-
Scotty, it's just BKB right click, she dies.
Prophet's looking for his target, and he's found one. It's going to be Misery. They have the Orchid available, so no cogs, no hook shot. It's just trapped inside the trees. Nice. And they can go up towards top lane now. Another jump forward. Paralyzing Cask will not bounce, but it won't matter. Jakiro cops so much damage from this Templar Assassin. An aggressive refraction charges. Kazu able to hit the shackle shot, and this is a huge kill to claim. Over 1,000 gold going into the Wind Ranger, not to mention the death time of TA. Dead for so long.
They needed
Breathing
that one.
space for BlinkPool.
Definitely time for them to get a kill, and a nice one to have. TA probably kicking herself a little bit, not having a BKB there, because then she would not die. But either way, still 1 kill. It was a fat one, 1,000 gold, 300 going to Shadow Fiend. But I don't know if the Wind Ranger is going to be able to make the biggest impact with it. It does give her lots of gold after the blink.
Oh, Wind Ranger may die. Wind Ranger does die. Millen's a beast. He jumps
really
in when he's got that medallion and he just wrecks anyone he finds.
And he actually went experience gain this game, which I think is pretty solid considering they're winning. More levels and more Walrus Punch and all this stuff. Perks as well. I love the Phase Boots pickup, just so his punch actually does something rather than just utility. It's like all of their heroes are threatening on Wind and Rain side, every single one of them. Kind of reminds me of Sox's Skywrath Mage last game, almost killing the carry. It's like when your 5 is threatening the life of a 1, as a bad place to be, because it's going to mean slower farming.
Find the target. SF. They know what they want. They found it.
Doesn't have
But do they have
snowball.
enough damage that's going to sigil up? And now the sigil's making it difficult to get away. Prophet can TP anywhere they want to. TA's coming in, but here's Misery with a hook shot. Going forward up towards the Tusker. They will kill him off, but what is the cost? Witch Doctor's a little bit out of position. Misery will lose his life, but it's SF helping to claim multiples. It's still a 2-2. Nothing can battle Ritsu, and they know it.
Yeah,
And it's space for Drow Ranger.
2 supports for 2 supports, so it's okay. I think any trade when you're this far behind is going to be comfortable for you. They technically gain 600 gold. 600 going to clock, 300 for the SF. I felt like SF really staggered for a second when his first hit landed, and he realized how little damage it did to the Tusk. But between Tusk's 2,000 HP and the Medallion and the Urn of Shadows, this guy is very tanky and hard to kill. He's picked up a Buckler as well. He's going to be going for a Crimson Guard, actually. If a Vanguard on the Courier or something? Mostly. This is insane how farmed this guy is.
Yeah.
Once they get Crimson, that offsets all of Drow's aura.
9-4-4 on the Tusker. It's all going to a worthy cause. And Nature's Prophet's even going to get himself a Nullifier by the looks of it.
Yep.
So they're finding so much disable items. I'm wondering though, like with this itemization, is it all going towards the same cause? Like, is it meant to be kill into high ground push?
Are you referring to Wind and Rain on the Dire team?
Yeah, I'm thinking about war. Like when you get the Nullifier, when you have all these BKBs, I guess it's the point when you're happy to look for a fight, because we know Tuskar is, but is the rest of the team on the same page?
Yeah, that's basically what they want to do. Split push, and then when they're split pushing, they have to look for opportunities. That's the easiest way, because high grounding against like a Jakiro and a Clock and an SF and Shackle shots, it all just sounds difficult, right? Especially with the potential for them to buy back and win fights. So the easiest way to make that easier is just to kill heroes on the map before you push. And that's why they are picking things like Orchid, Nullifier, and eventually a Hex on TA. They want to find these openings, and those items make it easier to do so. They're great late game items, like it's going to help them scale. It just feels like they're going to be able to look for a kill, pick them off, and then turn it into a push. Or at least force a buyback.
Smoke into the pit. Rich is going to do this solo. Power shot reveals the fact that Roshan's being done, so TA begins her TP already. She probably won't hang around for the 30-minute bounty runes, but Roshan appears to be a little bit more important. Aegis and Cheese for them.
Morphling picking up Morph targets allies. A little interesting maybe for TA.
Jumping over, Clockwork being caught out, Orchided up. Millen wants to get a little bit closer to finish the job, but Clockwork, does he pop from the Orchid? He pops from the last attack for Rev. So Clock is down. TA takes the Aegis.
Man.
And yeah, like what do? You get like defensive refraction?
Yeah, and a Melt Strike, that could be good, because once you turn it on, you can turn back and you'll still have it. So it's like Morphling with refraction. Sounds pretty good to me. He could also put it on Tusk, get a second Frozen Sigil, Snowball, Ice Shards. He could turn into Prophet, teleport anywhere on the map. There's a lot of really good things this game,
actually. Not like this, Madara. Not like this. Oh, actually, the pushback. He may be able to survive with his TP out. No! Pantheon.
Radiant's middle
He actually had to,
tower
it was
is
the
under
trap, I
attack.
believe. He had to wand when he got back to Fountain, but I don't know if it was going to be enough. But
Radiant's middle
again,
tower
same problem.
has fallen.
That's a 4 killing your 1. The Drow Ranger problem. You said it didn't look bad before. It didn't at the time, but now it's terrible. Now it looks real
Yep.
bad.
Oh, they're going to come high ground. Turns into TA, and yep, there it is. Defensive refraction charge, the shackles up, but look at the jump in with the early sight. They just destroy Kezu. Looking towards the tower, nope, a quick 4-staff out. Ritsu just changed himself. Remember, he's still got that cheese inside of him, and TA's got the Aegis to the Immortal. So they jump in closer, the shards block, and the hit. With Adaptive Strike killing off Misery, who instantly buys back to try and defend this mid lane of Rax. There's no Macro Pyre. At least they got the Dual Breath and the Liquid Fire. But they're going to work out which one's the real one. Obvious when Morph switches back again.
I mean,
But he's got these never-ending refraction charges.
yes. This morph uptime is 35 out of 40 seconds. That means pretty much all the time he's a morphling with refraction. That's insane. Very useful here.
6-6. Fereb's making his move down to bottom lane. He didn't even wait for it. He started his taunt as he summoned the trees. And the push, where is the answer? Wind Range is up in 4 seconds time, and that has to be the time they fight. They cannot accept the casualties of 2 lanes of Rax. You can gust onto 3.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
But you've already lost your tier 3 tower. If War wanted, they can back up. But they've still got most of their big abilities. There's no need to. Everything seems to be just so disposable.
Yeah. And it's crazy to think how the game went as well. Like,
Radiant's
War was
bottom
actually
shrine
just
is under
AFK
attack.
jungling for a lot of this game. And BlinkPool was moving around and pushing towers, but it takes a lot of their heroes to do that. And at the same time, War was just split pushing really efficiently with heroes like
Radiant's
Morphling
bottom
and TA.
shrine is
So
under
they just
attack.
kept about equal farm, in fact, farm better. And now they're just going to end
Smoke
the game.
breaks. Morphling jumps in, and they want to kill the SF, and they got the SF. No buyback available for him. And Morphling, he's just BKB. The Shackle won't hold anything, and this is just going to be death of Drow Ranger, death of Jakiro, and really death of Game 2, and life of Game 3. GG is the
Just
call.
absolute domination by War here. This felt like a moderate outdraft, I guess. Outplay outdraft. I think the Prophet certainly threw them into a loop. It made all the laning weird for BlinkPool all of a sudden, because then Prophet was going to be able to pressure the Drow. Drow wasn't going to have an easy lane. And that made things tough. It seems like Prophet is like a situational late game pick, not like an opener, maybe like as we saw Kingwin do. But what an upper hand. And it made the game hard. And then they just did this smart build. Ritsu gets out of his lane, AFK jungles. Everybody farms, everybody gets advantage, and then that Aegis Steel like cinched the game. It felt over at that point.
Yeah. That was meant to be the timing, right? That's when BlinkPool were meant to just grab the reins of the game and push forward.
Yeah. Maybe get a high ground or something would have been what they could get with the Aegis. Or maybe try to force a weird fight, but they didn't even get that.
Having an SF with confidence who could probably finish the Manta and gone into his Shadow Blade. Or actually
Maybe.
finish the Shadow Blade itself.
Yeah. What do you think, Draskell? What are your thoughts on the game?
Even if they got Roche, they would have lost.
That's probably
They
that's what I was
definitely would
feeling,
have lost. Okay, so the main issue you kind of already touched on is the Furion. They had literally no answer for it. So the idea behind the Drow strat is you get at least 2 favorable lanes, you crush them, you get towers, you get Roche, you go end the game. Morphling's a slow hero. Obviously, BlinkPool knew that they wanted to go Morphling on Wind and Rain because it's one of Ritsu's comfort heroes, and they had already banned PL, which is another hero that you would not want to play against if you were a Drow strat. So it probably just popped into Misery's head, okay, we'll just play a fast tempo lineup that can punish this Morphling because he's slow, and we'll just win the game based off that. So they open Clock SF, and at that point, the Clockwork, he's not going to have a good game because he's the first pick, right? He's an opener. So you look at where Misery can actually go in that game. He can't go bottom because Trance block his battery assault. Can't really do anything there. Can't do anything against the top lane either because it's a Morphling, and as that being the hero you want to pressure, you offer nothing. So I feel like they did kind of lane it wrong. I think that you still want the Clockwork with the Drow, even though I feel like the lane might be harder, just because then you give the Jakiro a purpose. And bottom lane, the Jakiro, he is better in lane against Furion, there's no disputing that, but you still don't win that lane. So you're putting a hero that is better, like on paper, against the Furion, but you're not pressuring the Morphling at all. So that guy's free farming. You're still losing your safe lane. Your mid lane goes even when you start with 12 souls because it's not a favorable matchup for the SF. So you reach this mid game phase where Furion can split even if you're pushing. Your one catch hero can't catch him because it's a Clockwork. The only other person on the team that could provide any solo kill potential besides SF is Wind Ranger. And you need a Blink for that. If you don't have Blink, you can't kill. So as soon as you lose pretty much all 3 of your lanes, and I consider an SF who trades even with a TA, when you start with 12 souls, I consider that a loss.
He was actually ahead. Like at the 20 CS mark, they were similar, but he was like 15 ahead by 10 minutes or something. It was like,
But
it was better. But
my general feeling of the game is that the Jakiro should have been top with the Wind Ranger, not the Clockwork. Even though that bottom lane is still going to suffer. At least then you can at least take something from Wind and Rain that game. Because the way that it looked, it didn't matter where the Clockwork went because it was never going to be effective. So at least give the Jakiro and the Wind Ranger a good lane, and then have your mid player be slightly ahead of the TA. That's a way you could potentially win the game. But I'll be honest, that was a huge outdraft.
what about like the Shadow Fiend Shadowblade? Do you agree with me that maybe that should have been his second item, like Dragonlance Shadowblade instantly, so at least maybe he could get a kill?
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
an ulti solo or
in
something.
hindsight, the Shadowblade seems better. But that's because the way that Wind and Rain played it, they knew they were super relaxed. They knew how far ahead they were. They were like, we have like no need to make any dangerous plays whatsoever because our Morphling will just eventually be unkillable. It's as given Ritsu didn't die a single time the entire game. He played it safe. He went for the Treads Morbid Mask build, which I thought was great. Just farmed up a freaking storm. Literally
watching him do that, I was like, why doesn't everybody do this? It looked so useful. He like hit the jungle.
It was
first like 2,000 gold, and he was just safe, full HP, always ready to morph.
It was unique to the game because of how far ahead they were. Because they didn't, like, Brile could show in lane all the time. Fereb could show in lane all the time. You can't really buy Mask of Madness every game because there are going to be situations where your other two cores are not going to feel as free to show on the map as they felt this game.
Okay.
That's why you don't see it as
like
much.
Like a pressure thing, right?
Yeah, because if you're not sitting in a lane and pushing out creeps, sometimes jungling can be a huge hindrance. There are games when you see a team that's behind and, like, 2 or 3 people that are cores are sitting in the woods farming. And then all the lanes are past the river and you go, oh, right, there are creeps that we have to kill, but if we show, we die. But this game, they could show anywhere. They were like, we won this game in like 5 minutes.
I think the Tusk was also like an epic pick as well. And
it was really good.
It was one of the big weaknesses to the BlinkPool draft was that their opening of Shadow Fiend, Tusk always looks good right there, and Tusk also happened to counter the Drow in a big way.
Yep.
And it was good against Wind Ranger. It was like they picked it because it's good against SF, but it just happened to also beat the core that they're going for. So it's like one of those downsides to a strat. It's like, yeah, the strat looked really cool on paper, but Wind Ranger just happened to like accidentally counter it, sort of like more so than they intended to with their pick.
The Tusk and the Furion combo was just, there was nothing they could do. There was a point in the early game where Milan got an illusion rune, and they threw the illusions down under the tower with trees, and you could see how helpless those heroes are. Even with the Jakiro being there, like, it did not matter. Like, it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are very little things I feel like BlinkPool could do differently. The only thing off the top of my head is just moving the Jakiro in place of the Clockwork. That's it. And I'm not even saying that would make them win. It just gives them like a slightly better chance.
Yeah. What about this crazy idea? What if you take your Shadow Fiend who's like 6, swap him to safe lane, throw Drow mid?
Then your SF just gets dove under tower and dies.
Can't he like? I mean, he's gonna get like snowball tusk dived, but wouldn't he have at least like he can dual race treants?
He has a better chance.
Stuff like that.
He absolutely has a better chance, but you still die. And then you're taking a hero.
Jakiro backing him up, because I feel like with Jakiro backing him up, and if it's just a Tusk and a Prophet, and Prophet's not 6 yet, maybe, or maybe Prophet is, but I feel like at the least you could kill the Treants, so the Treants are offset, and then you're just like Jakiro SF versus right-clicking a Tusk.
Maybe.
Like that
let's
it's
say
dangerous though.
Let's say theoretically that idea does work. You're still not doing anything about Morphling.
And then Drow is losing to TA.
And
then
Drow
TA
is
goes
losing to TA. Yeah. So it is an idea that has some validity behind it. Like you could live maybe. But
it felt like they got countered by a Brood, more or less. Is kind of how what it felt like. It was like summons they can't deal with.
Yeah.
Getting dived.
They had some heroes that sucked in lane against summons, and they were playing against summons.
Yeah.
Just a rough draft in general, honestly.
Just great Prophet pick.
Yes,
sure.
Absolutely. It was something they tried for BlinkPool. Didn't work out the way that they wanted it to, and that's just how it's going to end for the second game in this series. So we do have Game 3 coming up, a very exciting Game 3 between these two teams. Winner of this moves on to play up against OG in a best of 5. We're getting to the lobby. We'll have that up soon, but we'll take a break until then, so stick around, folks. We'll be right back.